All right, jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to another episode of the LPDS, Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm Libretti. I'm trying to be quiet and adult and mature for the next couple episodes because I'm in an Airbnb and the hosts are obviously living upstairs in their house, and they probably already think I'm a psychopath for talking to myself constantly as it is, so I don't want to be loud and doing it too. I don't want to get kicked out. This is a nice little setup we got here. So welcome to sort of like the on-the-road dungeon here. Busy week, finishing up my final couple weeks of work, so I'm still working full-time, still trying to figure all that crapola out. But I hope your guys' week has been better. Been a little bit more relaxing. It's been hot out. I know global warming's coming in full force lately, so we all got to be aware of that. I got wires everywhere. If you're looking in YouTube land, you can see all the wiring. Driving me crazy right now, the disorganization here without the LPDS compound anymore, so you got to bear with me here. But have some sort of sad news, but sort of bittersweet news. Bad news first, no edible tomatoes from the tomato plants. We did everything we could, but I had to pull the plants earlier than expected, and they're no more. However, the bittersweet portion of that, I guess the good from the bad, is that there were still tomatoes on the plants. They just weren't ripe and ready for the picking yet. So I think I took some pictures. I'll post them up here. For those of you in YouTube land to check them out. But we were going to get some tomatoes this year, so that was a very positive win, if you will. And like I said from the beginning, if I can just get one tomato out of that whole, what's a good word for it? Not circus act. I've been saying that's all I use is circus act. But that whole ordeal, that would have been a win for us. And we got, I think there was like 4 or 5 different tomatoes growing at various different stages in their ripening. One was very close, and you'll see it in the pictures how close it was. It was a Roma tomato, so they're not very big, but it was ready to pop, ready to be red. But again, had to pull them down. I'm calling it a victory. All right, I'm calling it a victory. I don't care that we didn't get to eat tomatoes this year, but baby steps. Last year was nothing. This year was something. Next year will be tomatoes. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for your unending support in that quest for tomatoes. One of these days we'll get them, though, folks. All right. What else we got here in the news? Current events. I think I took some notes down. Let's see here. No, not really. Well, in more financial news, another $2 billion is being spent by our government to go, I don't know, it said foreign nations for military aid. Doesn't say really who. I forgot who it said actually in the article. But $2 billion additional, and then there's talks of sending actual aircraft and more equipment to Ukraine for their war that we're not fighting apparently, but we're fighting apparently. So that's just, again, following the money. That's all we can do here. We're not going to speculate on where it's coming from, who's paying for it, but we're just following the money. That's all you do. Follow it, and you guys can make your conclusions from there. So I'm just the math guy here. I'm just adding up the numbers for you. So let's just keep this light and fun, keep this business and quick, though, because, again, I don't want to interrupt the owners upstairs. They've been super nice and polite to me, and I don't want to overstay my welcome by being a loudmouth idiot. So with that, we'll just step right into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Dolores' Adult Female Diapers. Ladies, are you tired of having to buy maxi pads and tampons and underwear and toilet paper all separately? Well, now you don't have to with Dolores' Diapers. You see, Dolores' Diapers have everything you need built right into one comfortable and sexy diaper. And they're washable. So once you're done defiling them You could toss them right into the washer, no problem. They'll be clean for you in under an hour. Over an hour? What kind of washer is that? Anyway, so get a Dolores diaper today, visit www.redwedding.com and use the promo code SharkWeek for 2.9% off your first bag of diapers. And that's another good thing about them too, folks, gals, is they come in packs. So you don't just need to wear one and have to wait and wash every single time. They come in packs of 5. You can wear them throughout the work week and have fresh ones by the weekend so you can party and rage and do whatever it is you gals do in the social scene that I'm not a part of, clearly. Because I'm sitting in a basement by myself right now with no women. And that's just how it is. So, all right, Cage Fact. Speaking of no women, we're going to talk about that in the junction. But, all right, Cage Fact. So, previously we talked about a lot of face-off stuff. We also discussed a lot of Nic Cage improvisation in some of his films and being a little loosey-goosey with the script, if you will, for the cinematics of it all, for the drama. And it's created some of his most memorable scenes in any movie. And here's just another one for you. So in Face Off, the scene where he gets the knife, or Nic Cage, he's being choked out by John Travolta's character, who's Sean Archer, but really is Castor Troy inside Sean Archer's body. He's being choked out, and he takes the butterfly knife that his daughter had, and he stabs Travolta, and he screams like, "Die!" It's like a famous scene. He does it a couple times. In fact, I think he does it too with the spear gun. I don't know if he screams "die" there or not. I got to go back and watch it again, obviously. But he screams real loud, like "die!" And they actually made, they did like a callback to it in the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent when he stabs the bad guy at the end there and says the same thing. It's like the same scene, shot for shot almost. Again, as a callback. But that scene, that quote, that screaming fit was completely improvised. Not part of the script whatsoever. I don't know exactly what he was supposed to say, but that's what he did, and it caught everybody off guard. Apparently, too, this is what's the funniest, is that he was so intense in filming that scene, in that improvisation, that the director wanted him to tone it down, but they were too scared to talk to him directly, so they had a guy, some key grip or some, whatever he is, holds the mics. He told him to go over to Nic Cage and tell him, "Hey, listen, guy, you got to tone it down a little bit. This is getting aggressive. You're supposed to be still Sean Archer trapped in Castor Troy's body, not Castor Troy, so you got to tone down the Cage a little bit." Which is I don't want to keep saying wild. I use the same terms for everything all the time. Circus act, wild, homage and homage. That's all you get. These are the jokes, folks. But the whole, just imagine sitting there as just some random guy on set, and the director of the movie comes up and says, "Listen, I need you to go do this for me. You got to go talk to this guy and tell him." It was like that scene in Seinfeld where the producers of that Broadway play told Kramer to go tell Raquel Welch that she was fired because they were too afraid of her. So this poor bastard had to go up there and tell him, "Hey, Mr. Cage, you got to tone it down. You got to tone down the Cage." I mean, I would never do that. Are you out of your mind? I would tell him the truth. I would rat them out, and I would say, "Listen, the director is saying they want you to tone down the Cage, but I'm here for it, buddy. If you want to ramp up the Cage and really stick it to him and make this movie, the classic that it can be, I'm here for it. I got your back on the mics." He's not going to turn anything off on him. So, anyway, that's the Cage fact. All right. Moving on along. You would think after all this time recording and trying to practice my craft of speaking to myself in a random basement, I would be better at orating. And apparently not. I still mess up all the time. But what I meant to say was, moving along, We'll get right into the junction. We'll spin the logo up over here. We're talking about worst online dating experiences this week. Now, we all got them. Except, I mean, most of us got them, except for the people who met their significant others outside of the online scene. Even still, some of those folks still have probably some at least funny, online dating fiascos, for lack of a better term. And I have no shortage of them. In fact, my worst one, I already mentioned on, what was the name of that episode we did? Thank You for Being a Friend. I forgot the episode number, but I'll pop it up here so that you guys can go back and listen to that. That was, without a doubt, the wildest, scariest, most emotion-inducing, adrenaline-pumping online dating story I've ever had so far. Knock on wood, it's nothing tops it, but go back and listen to that one. So I'm not going to get into that again. I'm not going to rehash that one. Go listen to that episode. It's wild from start to finish. The whole story is just out of control, and it plays very well into some of these other stories that you guys provided. You the fans, So I don't know what I'm talking about today. Some of the stories that you, the fans, provided. That's a good sentence. That's a grammatically correct sentence. I'm losing it, folks. I'm losing it. All right, so we're just going to get into it. We got you guys to share some feedback on some of your more ridiculous scenarios and experiences, your worst online dating experiences. Some of these are worse than others, obviously. And we got a couple hotline call-ins, too, so we'll listen to see what these folks might have to say about their stories, and we can kind of speculate and pontificate on who had the better story. And I'll share a few more of mine. I got endless ones, and that's probably my fault. I'm a character. I'm a joke. Whatever adjective you want to use to describe me. I open the door for ridiculous stories like these. And the type of people who would, do this sort of stuff on a regular basis. Not as a joke, not ironically, just in real life. So I have no shortage of these. And I'll only talk about one or two real quick because, again, I don't want to take up all your time. So, all right, so this first guy here, it was a short little feedback, but he said that he met this girl online, didn't say what app it was, so I don't know if it was Tinder or Bums or Poff or what have you, but he said the girl texted him and said she was going to be late to their date because she was still celebrating her half-birthday party. Now, he didn't give me the rest of the information. I'm guessing either the date went poorly or he just bailed on her, didn't even bother to waste his time with it, but that's what she told him. Now, that's a crazy enough, stupid enough excuse for her to be telling the truth. You don't really just lie and use that as the excuse because that's not that's malarkey. And I think everybody knows how I feel about birthdays to begin with. As an adult, celebrating birthday parties, as an adult under the age of 65 and over the age of 12. And this chick was celebrating a half birthday. That's nothing. Birthdays are nothing to begin with, pretty much. But they're a little bit more something than a half birthday. I mean, this chick was celebrating nothing. She has such low self-esteem, and it's not this just happens to be a chick in this instance, but anybody who's celebrating half birthdays have clearly such low self-esteem and need that attention and dopamine hit so badly that they're going to resort to making up things to celebrate. Now, I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I've talked about how much I hate weddings, but I also use them as an excuse to go spend time with friends. Same with birthdays with my friends. We just use it as an excuse to meet up. So, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I got it. But to bail on a date or be late for something, an appointment that you made for a half birthday is absolutely ridiculous. So I hope this gal is not his current wife, because I love her to death. I'll I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him after this to find out the truth about that because I don't want to trash talk her. But that's a beta move. That's a rookie move. You don't want to mess around with people like that. If their half birthdays are more important than true love, they're for the streets, guys. People like that are for the streets. Okay, let them celebrate their half birthdays with the other gutter trash that need to do that sort of thing. So, all right, thank you for your input, fella. Appreciate your time. All right, so this one guy here, and I want to get this guy on the show one day. He's an old friend from high school. And he's not a doctor, but he's the doctor equivalent in the nurse community. Not a nurse practitioner either, but he's a big timer, super smart guy. And he's got a story here from a fella that he tried to meet online, and I don't know if they actually met, but he talked to this dude on Tinder apparently back in the day. He's married now. His husband's a doctor, and again, another really nice, smart guy. Super entertaining. Again, I got to get these guys on the show one day because we'll have a blast, talk about the good old days of how we met and all the other shenanigans we got into throughout our lives as friends. And he's actually really close friends with my sister now, so we stay in touch, obviously. So this guy meets this other dude on Tinder, and the guy tells him, like right off the bat, he caveats all this shit with him before they even meet, that he can't drive any farther than 6 miles past his house. So he's got a 6-mile radius around his house that he can't go past. He didn't say why. He just left that out there and said, find a place for us to meet up for a date within 6 miles of my house. Now, that can mean a number of things. Some of the top things that I thought of immediately were either that this guy is just using it as an excuse to get my friend over to the house so they can do sex or something. Because when you use that excuse, it's, I can't go far, whatever reason. Why don't you just come over to the house and hang out? We've all been there. I'm sure a lot of people here listening in have tried that before in the past. It's a very transparent caveat and a gameplay, if you will, a TTP. Also, I was thinking, too, on the more dangerous side, the more pessimistic side, that maybe this guy's under house arrest. Maybe the house arrest bracelet is added to his accoutrement of jewelry that he wears around his ankle. And he can't go farther than 6 miles. He's mandated. But he never gave the information. He never gave the context. He just said, let's keep it within 6 miles, fella. And again, I don't know if my friend acquiesced to that. But on top of that, he followed it up with said, oh, by the way, he called himself, I got to make sure I get this right. I'm reading my notes here. He called himself a radical fairy who prances through the woods. Now, in the gay community, I think fairy is a thing, like a sect, like a different group. You know how you have like the jocks, and you have the theater kids, and you have the musicians, like the band geeks or whatever. I think in that community, it's the fairy is a group, the fairy group. And they do their own thing. They're goths, like the goths or the emos. There's the fairies too. I think that's what it is. I haven't talked to my friend to kind of get his take on it all. But this guy was bragging about being a radical fairy who prances through the woods. And I don't know if that's like gay LARPing or something in the woods that they do or what it was, but it completely turned my friend off. Not to mention the fact that, like, does he have woods within 6 miles of his house? Like, where is he prancing, and why does he feel the need to tell people this right off the bat before meeting somebody? So I don't know the implications of what the radical fairies do within 6 miles of their homes. But it was enough for this guy. It was enough red flags for my buddy to see through the fog of Tinder and not pursue this fella any further. So I'm glad he was safe and sound. Don't know what would happen in the woods with the radical fairies on house arrest, but I'm glad he didn't find out either. So thanks for that input, pal. Yeah, we definitely got to get you on the show. All right. Another input here. We're going to roll through these, guys. We're trying to keep this quick again. I don't like running my dick sucker all the time, and I always end up doing it because that's what happens. When you're an Italian and you're loud and you're stupid, you have a lot of opinions and you want to get them out there because you think people want to hear them. When in reality, I know you don't, but sometimes I get into the zone, flap my gills, and next thing you know, we're an hour into this thing, and you guys are probably stabbing your eyeballs out, testing the strength of your shoelaces to try to get out of this damn thing. So we're going to try to keep it moving. All right, this fella right here, he said he started talking to this gal on Bumble, and they ended up meeting for sushi at a place that at the time was like right across the street from his apartment complex. So all he had to do was walk across the street. He didn't have to drive or anything, which was convenient. And I guess it was closer to her so that she was cool with the date. They met up there, and I guess they started talking about, like, they were ordering drinks, and she asked him if he ever had sake, which is like a Japanese and Asian drink that you have when you go get sushi or hibachi, things like that. That's a big time trendy hipster drink that people do all the time out there. And my friend at the time never tried it before. So she's like, okay, we'll order some. She orders sake for the table, for the two of them. Well, this nut job proceeds to drink the entire bottle of it, or whatever they come. It comes in like, not a vat, but like a little small decanter, like a little pitcher that they have, that they fill it up, and it's usually like between 3 or 4 shot-sized drinks per person if you're going for 2. So you're thinking about six-ish shots of sake in that little how you doing. And that shit's pretty potent. Especially if you're like a lightweight like myself, just a little guy, that stuff will get you fast. So apparently she crushed the whole thing herself. He never even tried it. I don't even know if he took a sip of it or not. But she blasted it to smithereens, and within minutes she got hammered. He said she was fumbling her words like she had marbles in her mouth, like she was the host of Libretti Podcast Diary Show, couldn't talk, wobbling all over the place. She kept drinking. Apparently, she didn't even eat her food. She ordered a bunch of sushi, didn't touch it. She was just out of it, completely out of it. He said she might have been on drugs, too. And that's a dangerous combination right there when you're combining doing drugs with alcohols. I mean, you're in bad shape. You're getting pretty banged up pretty quick. And I think that's why he assessed that's why she got so messed up so quickly, was that she was probably on something too. Maybe cocaine or meth or something like that gets you all crazy in the head or something like that. So my buddy here, the guy, this fella, and I don't want to mention any names with these. I'm going to keep these anonymous because we got to protect the innocent here. So he immediately went into sort of like rescue maintenance mode, if you will. He saw that this chick was obviously a problem. He couldn't let her drive home. I mean, he didn't want to see her anymore, but you can't just let these people drive home and crash their car, wrap it around a tree, kill somebody else. So he was nice enough, and again, he assessed the situation, make sure it was safe. Obviously, this chick was too drunk and high to do anything dangerous to him, like steal his kidney in his sleep or whatever. So he brought her back to his apartment and had her take a nap on the couch for a few hours to kind of sleep it off and sober up a little bit, because if she drove home, she was in big trouble. And not just like getting pulled over, getting a ticket, likely killing somebody or herself. And that's real quick. Let me get on a quick bitch fest here. That's something that for whatever reason, the commercials and the Dare police and all the the mentors and the teachers in schools and stuff never mention as like the main issue with drunk driving. They always warn you, all the commercials and the signs and the billboards say click it or ticket. Like if you drunk drive, we'll pull you over and you'll get a ticket. Like how about the fact that if you drunk drive, you could kill somebody? And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but it's important enough to keep bringing up. You could kill somebody if you're super high and drunk driving out there. Yourself, somebody else in a vehicle, a pedestrian, whatever. At that point, who cares about the ticket? I wish it was just a ticket. So think about that. So this guy right here probably saved lives by letting her sleep there. So he let her sleep for a couple hours. He woke her up later on after, a good enough time for her to sober up. And he's like, okay, I think it's time for you to go home now. Didn't do anything inappropriate, kept everything respectful and safe and sound. And it was a very mature alpha move right there. And then this chick, she left, disappeared, never heard from her again. So she thanked him by, I guess, getting out of his life and preventing a certain doom if my friend decided to actually keep going out with this chick. So I guess that was the repayment. That was the favor she did for him. So I guess thanks for that, lady. So there you go. All right, what else we got? I got a couple written down for myself I put down that are worth mentioning. I got a bunch. Crap. There's too many. All right, well, before I get into mine, another buddy of mine said he got... This is very funny and sad a little bit. So this guy, he met a girl on Tinder. They didn't meet yet. He started talking to a gal on Tinder, which is one of the swipe apps. Not to be confused with Puff, which I'll get into again in a little bit, but they start exchanging flirtatious back and forth and how you doings. Everything's going well. She suggests exchanging numbers, phone numbers, to take the relationship to the next level. They exchange phone numbers, and the first text message she sends, this is the same day she gets the number. It wasn't like days later. The first text she sends, she said that she is not looking to date at this time. Thank you for your service. Good day, sir. And that was it. And they stopped talking. I don't know if she deleted the Tinder app, her profile, or she just unmatched from my buddy there. But she gave him her phone number just to tell him that she wasn't interested in him. And if that's not a blow to the self-esteem and a shot right in the emotional nuts, I don't know what is. I felt so bad for this guy when this happened. And it wasn't his fault. He did nothing wrong. I was there for the whole conversation. I watched it play out via flirtatious text messages. Or I guess Tinder messages. And it was like she played this long game trick on him. Let me get this guy set up. Let him be vulnerable and emotionally open to the thought of dating me. And then I'm going to take his heart and piss on it. Now, luckily, they didn't meet in person because that's when you really get the connection with somebody. So he was able to walk it off and realize it wasn't him and he shouldn't be feeling down on himself. It was just quite the power move. Quite the power move to be doing that to somebody. So he walked it off and he's still swiping and doing all that, what have you. So good on him for maintaining that confidence to keep going out there because that was a blow. It was an unnecessary blow. It was below the belt. Below the belt. So, all right. Now, like I said, I got a ton of these. I had one similar to that. It wasn't quite like that. It was slightly different. I was talking to this girl from Hinge for weeks, back and forth. Our schedules were never able to line up to hang out, but we continued to talk. We exchanged numbers. We got everything set up to go on a date. We had all these great ideas, a great flirtatious back and forth. And then literally the day of the date, about 6 or 7 hours before we were supposed to meet up, I just get this text message. We're in the middle of a conversation, by the way. This wasn't like a morning text like, hey, good morning, I'm done with you. It was, we were having a conversation. We were joking back and forth. I responded to her joke with my joke response, and then she comes back with a, hey, it was nice talking to you, but I decided I think I'm going to get back with my ex and give it another shot. Good luck to you. So long. And that was it. I in fact, I actually responded with, is this a joke? Are you serious? LOL. Like, I thought she was just messing with me. After all we've been through via texting, that's how she left it. Just, again, teabagging me proverbially after she cut me down in my prime. So I feel the pain there. I know what it's like. But again, you got to move on. And I did move on. I moved on to this other gal, supposedly a gal, I don't know. And again, that wouldn't be the first time I've encountered a person telling me they're a gal and not being a gal. Again, go back to the "Thank You for Being a Friend" episode, and you'll know that story. But this gal I met on POF, Plenty of Fish. And I briefly mentioned this, I think, in the past, but Plenty of Fish started out as a Christian dating site. And what I liked about it, and what I still like about the foundation of it all, is that it's not a swipe. It's not merely just a swipe kind of situation. You have to match with somebody. I can initiate a conversation with anybody I wanted to and play to my strengths. My strengths are not my looks. I don't know if you noticed that, but when you're getting compared to Dr. Gru, a cartoon with a giant nose, a cartoonish nose, it's not a non-realistic giant cartoon nose, when that's who you're getting compared to in the looks department, you better bring it with the charm and the character and the personality. So POF lets me, play to that. So I can send off a couple of funny messages, get the conversation going, and get people to see, I am more than just a shark fin nose. So that's why I liked it. And it's since gone downhill as far as the quality of the people out there, but that's a story for another day. So this is several years ago. I think I just moved to the D.C. area, going through, the new guy stuff, trying to find some cool people to date and hang out with and see what was up. And I started talking to this gal. We were talking back and forth for a few days. She said she worked for AOL. Now, anybody who knows anything about the history of the internet knows that AOL was the internet back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Back when we were hitting the chat rooms, ASL, updating our MySpace profiles, everything. You had AOL. You've got mail. That was it. Anybody, if I just said you've got mail, everybody knows what that is. It's AOL. Fast forward to 2016 when this all went down. AOL's gone, folks. Okay? You haven't had to download the AIM chat CD on your computer in 10 years. More than that. AOL is long gone. So that should have been the first red flag to me that this chick said she worked for AOL. And even if it's still a company, I'm sure it is technically, but that's nothing. They're done. They're done. Dead for. You idiot. So of course I was in the fog of hot, and I just let it go. So we set up this time to go meet up at this place for dinner. It was closer to where she lives, so it's familiar territory. Got to keep things comfortable, obviously. Well, I was running late from work, and I texted her to let her know I'm going to be like 10 minutes late. She was like, okay, that's fine. There was traffic, yada, yada, yada. I get to the area. She's actually helping me find parking. She's letting me know, hey, the place is here. If you look one block down on this street, there's a parking garage. It's free parking. You should park there because it's free. So I was like, oh, great. She's clearly here and real and knows about this because she was right. The parking garage was right there. I went to that parking deck. I pulled in. I get to the restaurant, and I was like, I tell them, hey, I'm here to meet this pretty blonde gal or whatever she was. They're like, oh, nobody here with that description. I was like, okay, I'll just sit and wait for her to come. And I sit and wait. And I read the menu. And I read the menu again. And I read the menu 5 more times. And I'm texting. No response. Nothing. Cicadas. Crickets. I sat there so long, I drank about a gallon of water by myself, had the entire basket of bread, and decided to... I just ordered dinner. And I think I mentioned this before. I just ordered dinner. They had a duck sort of entree that I wanted to try. I read it 5 times already, so I was like, I'll just sit there, and I had the duck. And I never heard from her again. The last text I got from AOL chick was, here's the parking garage. I'll see you soon. Gone. And to this day, I don't know if she's a real person. Initially, I thought after the fact, oh, maybe she had me go park there so they can go rob my vehicle. Wasn't the case, thankfully. I don't know what the deal with that was. I don't know if that was some sort of sick game, or if she was so mad about me being late that she's like, I'll show this guy. I'll still pretend, and feign interest, and then I'm out, and I'm gonna ghost him. And she did. Now, I had a good meal. Emotionally, I was distraught, but my appetite was satiated. And that's all you can ask for with some of these kind of dating situations, is that you got to find the wins. You got to find the positives and the negatives, okay? It can't all be doom and gloom. Don't forget that, all right? Now, another story I had, this was this didn't tear at my heartstrings, or nobody kind of faked me into liking them, nothing like that. I was talking to this gal, got stuff on my microphone here, another gal from Hinge, which as another app I like because you can set the tone with messaging first. You don't have to do a swipe necessarily, so you can wow them with the charm and the flirtations, as opposed to hopefully you think Gru is sexy. So we started talking. She lived down the street from me, apparently, and again, a couple yellow flags that I just, at this point in my life, I was like, whatever, I'll just throw them away, throw them to the side, and keep pressing and see what this chick was all about. But she did talk a lot about drinking and some other clear issues she was having in her life, which, again, everyone's got baggage, so I'm not here to judge or anything like that. So I decided to meet up with her. She tells me, hey, I got a couple friends at my apartment. We're going to this one bar across the street. Meet me there, and then we can hang out and go from there. So I walk over to this bar. Again, it's right down the street from me. I walk over to the bar, and I'm texting her, hey, where are you at? She's like, I'm right here. And I was like, no, I'm here, and you're not. She's like, I'm right outside. I'm waving. And I was like, I don't see anybody waving. Come to find out, she's outside of her apartment complex waving. Now, I thought maybe it was a mistake, like, oh, we just crossed wires, but I look at the text message history, and clearly she said, meet at this bar. So I was like, fine, I'll walk over to her. It's across the street. I walked over there, immediately knew why this was all going down. I immediately knew why, because she was sweating alcohol, and I think she was on cocaine or pills or something else, because she was out in outer space. Whoever was working her body for her was a top-tier marionettist, because she was dead. Whoever was controlling her, I don't know who it was. It wasn't her. It was just some drunk, blacked-out nightmare who didn't even know the bar she told me to meet at. She's like, I don't know where that bar is. I was like, it's right across the street. You gave me the name of the bar. She's like, I've never been there before. I never even heard of it. So stupid me decides, forget about it. I'm still going to go hang out and see what's up with this chick. We go up to her apartment, and she's got a slew of friends. They're all drunk and likely high, too. Luckily, they all leave, so I only had to deal with one zombie that night. And then this chick decides she wants to watch ghost shows. Again, on the surface, very strange and out of sorts. We got a drunk and high chick hopped up on all sorts of drugs and boozes who wants to watch ghost shows with a complete stranger. Got it. In context, it makes sense. However, I love ghost shows. So, and I knew I was safe. She's not going to beat me up. She's out of sorts. All I had to do was hit her with my schnoz, and she was going down like a tree. So we start watching ghost shows. She gets up, walks away. I'm still watching the ghost shows. Obviously, I'm enthralled. I forgot the name of this one, but it was the one where they have like the psychic medium working with the retired FBI agent to find ghosts in people's houses and to do ghost things with them. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was a good show. I was enjoying it. She comes back 5 minutes later, in nothing but her underwear, like a t-shirt and her underwear. And she's still, again, blacked out, hammered, whatever. And she goes, all right, are we going to make out or what? And at that point, that's when I halted. I couldn't do it. I'm not going to sit there and do anything with a drunk, high person because that's not the right thing to do. I'm sober. I didn't even have a drink. I'm drinking waters, okay? I'm not doing that shit. So I was like, nope. I'm going to go home. I'm going to walk home. You're going to go to bed, do whatever you got to do. And she got pissed at me. She's like, fine, fuck you. I don't know what you came here for. I was like, I don't know either. So I went home. The next day, she texted me like nothing ever happened. Hey, what are you up to today? I was like, not hanging out with you. She's like, why? I was like, and I told her everything. She goes, I don't remember a goddamn thing from last night. I didn't even know we talked. I don't know who was at my house, what the hell was going on. And in that moment, I took like a sigh of relief, like, thank God I didn't do anything with this psychopath because it would have been bad news. So I thanked her for her service, blocked her phone number, and that was that. I haven't seen her since. So, again, lessons from my experiences that you should be able to take away out of this is, you know, always avoid. What am I trying to say? Don't do sex to drunk people. That's it. Okay? No matter what, no matter how desperate you are, don't do sex to drunken high people. Get out of there. Get out of that situation. Play it safe. Be safe. All right. Let's go to the hotline. I think we got 2 hotlines, and then I'll shut my trap about this. So let's see here. Stand by.
This message is in regard to the worst Tinder date ever. This is one of the hottest friends you have. And I went on a date with this guy without doing much investigating on this guy. He had sunglasses in all of his pictures, and he looked muscular, and I went out on a date with him. I met him for coffee. Except when I got there, he was standing outside, and I didn't recognize him because he did not have big muscles, and he also had an eye that was kind of botched out. And that was unexpected. And then he said he wanted to go to dinner instead of coffee, and I reluctantly went to dinner instead of coffee. And this guy was a train wreck. Libretti, this guy was a train wreck. And to top it off, I didn't eat because I'd already eaten, but he ate, and he had drinks, and then he had forgotten his wallet. So I had to buy dinner. And then to top it off, he was like, do you want to go somewhere else? And I said, no. The car's right there. And then he said, last chance. Do you want to go home and fuck? And I said, no. Anyway, top that shit. Okay, see ya.
Wow. So I guess it happens to girls too. The weirdos and creepos are everywhere. Imagine having to go on a date with who you think is a hunk, and it turns out to be like some fat, googly-eyed bastard who forgets a wallet. By the way, that's a cheap bastard's play. No one forgets their wallet, and if they do actually forget it, they say something before they order food and drinks. You know when you forget it. That was a cheap bastard move, and then this guy had the gall to think he was gonna do sex after that. I mean, you are one of the biggest betas out there to think that. You bring nothing to the table. You don't look like your pictures. You got some weird eye thing going on. You should probably get that checked. You don't pay for the meal on a date that you only ate at, and then you expect to do sex with a hot chick? Get the hell out of here, buddy. This girl was obviously nice enough to just be polite and left. She probably should have kicked him in the ball bag, which was probably googly-eyed and botched up as well. So thankfully she missed out on that. So they're everywhere. The crazies are everywhere. All right, let's get this. We got one more call here, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, how you doing? This is Chloe. I'm just calling to give my input for the LPDS poll of the week, worst online dating experiences. This happened to me a little while back, a year and a half, 2 years ago, but it still stands as the worst experience I've ever had. I matched with this young Italian fella, John, Tony, something. We matched online, and he hit me with a few zingers. Really made me laugh, made me smile. We had a connection. I was really feeling it. So we finally decided to meet up in person. I suggested a bar or a restaurant, like normal people do, but he suggested we meet in an abandoned parking lot. A little bit of a red flag for me, but I'm a spontaneous girl, so I figured I'd give it a try. So we meet up, and I'm looking pretty good. I'm all dolled up. My hair was a little off that day, off to the side, but overall, I'm thinking I'm looking pretty cute. So I get out of the car to approach him, say hello, and he immediately freezes like a deer in the headlights. I'm pretty sure I could see him urinating on himself. It could have just been the shadow, though. I wasn't really quite sure. So I go to approach him, embrace him, give him a hug, and he immediately starts to backpedal. He then says, I think there's been a mistake. And then he turns around and runs away, gets into his car and peels off, and I never heard or seen from him again. I'm still out there looking for love, so if there's anybody in the LPDS world that's interested, my name is Carl. I mean Chloe. Good day.
All right. So there's the other side of the story I was talking about before from the previous episode. That's clearly not how it went down. We all know the truth. Carl over there, Cleo, whatever his real name is living in a different universe. There was no PP on my pants. I did not suggest a random parking lot. What would we do in a random parking lot? What would me and Terry Crews do in a random parking lot? Besides him spinning me around on top of him like a helicopter propeller. That was all that was going to be done. That guy was a giant fella who, frankly, scared the shit out of me. Did it scare the piss out of me? No, siree. And I was a gentleman about it. I was respectful. That's not how the story went. The haters are going to hate. They're going to say that I was the monster and that Cleo over there was just looking for love. But Cleo was a Carl, and he tried to kill me. All right? But anyway, thanks for your call, fella. I appreciate your time. Good luck on your search for love or whatever it is you're calling your little tactic to get small, feeble, meek, innocent little boys out to parking lots so you can try to do forced sex on them. So, all right. That's it. That's all we got for now. That's all the input I got on the worst dates. We'll keep doing this. We'll have like a part 2 and 3. These are going to be endless. There's always going to be stories of people getting random dick pics, coworkers sneaking into their DMs, whatever it might be. There's going to be stories out there. I already know. I got 5 or 6 more of my own because, again, I'm a magnet to this stuff. So we'll do more of these. I'll solicit more feedback from you guys. But thank you for, excuse me. Thanks for your feedback today and your comments and your stories. It's very entertaining. I'm glad everyone's out there safe and sound, though. I'm glad none of these stories ended in something dangerous because, again, that is a distinct possibility in the world of dating these days. So stay safe out there. Now, before we go, of course, we got to talk about the big 3. The 3 pillars of the LPDS to staying strong and being a better, happier, more positive, less stressed person. Number 1, exercise every day. Whatever you got to do. I get my steps in. If I can't work out, I've been getting my steps in with the dog Randy because I gotta do it. I gotta exercise every day. It's good for you physically, mentally, and emotionally. All right. Number 2, the hardest thing to do: don't be a shitty person, especially on the internets. All right. I won't beat that dead horse this week. I'll probably do it again next week. I'll talk more into it. But think about other people as they are, as human beings with feelings and emotions and things going on in their lives before you decide to take shots at them like they're pieces of shit. Maybe they are pieces of shit. We don't know for sure, but think about that. Take the step back before you do that. Number 3, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Just like I am grateful for you guys. I do want to make a quick shout out while I'm talking about gratitude here. Is I missed a family get-together with the crazy Italian family over in New York a couple weeks ago. I was in the middle of the move, so I couldn't make it out there. But they all had a good time, it looked like. I missed them greatly. A lot of them are listeners of the show, especially my one relative, Tony. He's always listened to the episodes and commenting and giving me the, being a good hype man. And I appreciate that. Also, he is one of the first people, the first characters I've ever recorded in history. In fact, I got to see, I'll pop the link here. He did a joke video back in the day before my sister got married, when she first got engaged to her husband, Ben. We did a video of Tony pretending to be a wise guy, a tough guy, like a mobbed up dude, and he was giving Ben a family warning to take care of my sister, or else something bad was going to happen to him. It was a very funny video. Again, I'll post it up, the link, so you guys can check it out. But that's the guy who's been a super supporter of the show, and I'm sorry I missed the family get together, but I am truly grateful for those people out there, and for you guys too, for all the other good things I have. And again, sit back, think about all the good things you have in your lives before you decide to get angry and negative about life. So that's all I got. Thank you guys again for listening and tuning in week and week out. You're the true ride or dies. You're the reason I keep doing this every week, even if I'm stuck in a random Airbnb dungeon and I have no business being out there in the ether. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.